Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast. If you're a regular listener, thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm your host, Katie Carey, independent publisher of books that matter and an international best-selling author, and of course, the host of this globally ranked podcast. I help metaphysical coaches and healers gain confidence, clarity, raise their visibility and their credibility, giving them the opportunity to shine their light brighter so that the people they are here to serve can find them. I do this by creating opportunities for them to become best-selling authors in my multi-author and solo book projects. I also offer one-to-one mentorship services to help spiritual business owners find and unlock their limiting beliefs. In this podcast, I'll be sharing wisdom from myself, coaches, authors and energy healers that could be just what you need to transform your life today. You can connect with me via the Contact Katie button at my website at www.soulfulvalley.com.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Hello and welcome back to the Soulful Valley podcast. We are thrilled to be back and to bring you an incredible lineup of guests from now until September, leading up to the launch of our groundbreaking book collaboration, Evolving on Purpose, Co-Creating with the Divine. Prepare to be amazed as you dive into the chapters of this book. Within its pages, you will find a treasure trove of wisdom worth thousands of dollars, encompassing coaching, healing, business strategies, spiritual growth and mentorship. The authors have poured their hearts into recounting their personal journeys, including the challenges they faced and overcame. Mark your calendars for the grand launch of our book on August the 30th. We can't wait to share this remarkable creation with you. But that's not all. We want you to be a part of this journey right from the beginning. Join our Facebook launch support group by finding the link in the show notes of each episode. By being a part of our community, you'll gain access to exclusive content, discussions, and behind-the-scenes moments. And here's the cherry on the top. When we officially launch, we'll be showering our supporters with a multitude of free gifts. These valuable resources will be yours to download when you purchase the book. And that's not all. If you're a coach, healer, a spiritual entrepreneur, a writer, a poet, or a business owner, we invite you to explore the exciting opportunities waiting for you at soulfulvalley.com. Discover how you can join our collaborations and become a vital part of our mission to empower and uplift, or co-create your own solo book with us, where you will receive 100% of your own royalties. Don't miss out on this incredible podcast series and the chance to be part of something truly transformative. Tune in, connect, and evolve on purpose with us. Together, we'll co-create a brighter future. Visit soulfulvalley.com after you finish listening to this episode. Sarah Brigid Brown is your soul connection healer and mentor, and also a teacher, coach, author and speaker. Sarah specialises in creating and nurturing a safe and empathetic space for sensitive women who feel like outsiders, to show them the way to get to the root of their imbalance, disconnection and misalignment. Soul stands for self, others, the universe, life. She is passionate about helping women who identify as people pleasers, perfectionists and high achievers to understand themselves, be kinder to themselves and transform their way of thinking so that they can have healthy relationships with themselves and with others. Since training back in 2016, Sarah has inspired hundreds of women to connect to the universe and live a life free of guilt, judgment and fear. She does this by accompanying them on a journey to shift their past narrative, release their pain and awaken to their truth. This leads them to put an end to the toxic relationships they have, especially with their mother, get clear on their true desire and be brave enough to connect to their own wisdom, inner strength and power to finally become leaders of their best lives. Sarah knows exactly how they feel, as she went from being a people pleaser, always wanting to control everything, afraid to speak up, and totally disconnected from the powerful woman she really is, to a passionate coach, teacher, and guide. She is completely in love with life and her life, following her calling to help as many people as possible, embracing all her imperfections, and believing in a future where love and community reign. Her approach is very holistic, as she is trained in neuro-linguistic, emotional and energy healing techniques. More than anything else, Sarah loves to let her intuition guide her towards the modalities that would best serve each individual person and hold space for people to learn to rely on their own power and resources. She is one of the co-authors of the Amazon International best-selling books Evolving on Purpose and Entangled No More, published by Soulful Valley Publishing. She is also the creator and producer of guided meditations and visualizations, as well as EFT tapping sequences, which are available for free on her YouTube channel. Currently, she lives in the south of France with her husband and 2 cats, close to her 3 adult children. To connect with Sarah, please visit her social media. Soul-based healing and mentoring to empower empathetic women at www.sbhmentoring.com. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast again for the 3rd time, Sarah Brigid Brown.
Hi Katie, and hi to everybody who's watching and or listening to us. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy that you're part of this book collaboration again, Sarah. It's been wonderful to have someone who's been on the journey from the beginning with me, from when I first launched the first book, Evolving on Purpose, Mindful Ancestors Paving the Way for Future Generations, and then you came along for Entangled No More, and now you're here for Co-Creating with the Divine. So what has been wonderful is watching each other's evolution, I think. What do you feel?
I definitely feel it, and just listening to those 3 books, the 3 names of the books like that, I'm like, it's as though you are sort of not reading my mind as such, although that probably is the case because we know how all of this works, right? Yeah. But it really is like, the different stages of my life since I've been in your world, which has been about 2 years now. So, and it has just, when I look back at our beginnings together for that first book, it really felt as though it was sort of like a bit tentative and baby steps and whatever. And, literally the day after the book was released, the first book was released, my mind was blown, but also my world just was like, suddenly moved definitely onto a new timeline and into a different sort of space.
As did mine. So what I've actually discovered is that I didn't just say yes to a publishing house opportunity. There's a bigger experience going on here for all of us. I think I feel that each book title has been a spiritual journey, and especially in the Entangled No More book, I don't know how that one was for you, but all of my stuff came up. And there was so much that I really did need to release, and the book was just a big spiritual transformation.
That's definitely how it was for me as well, because I signed up to that one very, very early on. And then I kept messaging you saying, there's this resistance coming up and there's all this stuff coming up. And I was like, And then halfway through the process, my dad passed away, and that brought up even more stuff. And then it was just like, once that had started to settle, so all the grief, because it was quite sudden. So when all of that had started to settle, it really was like, and I could feel him guiding me at the time, this is it now. You need to release this. You need to not necessarily step up, but it's just like you need to let people know what is possible, what happened to you, and what is possible, and that nothing is like a fatality. We can always get through things. And so that was a beautiful process once I'd actually leaned into it. And my goodness me, has my world changed even more since that one, which was last year.
And it felt really good after that, because it did feel quite a heavy journey to have a book title come through that was Co-Creating with the Divine. I've got shivers down my spine as I say that, because that just felt so good. Just like we're all co-creating, but what a beautiful journey to move on to. So we're less focused on the entanglement that we were in, and more focused on where we're going and what we're creating and how we're evolving, really positively, having shed so many of those things, all of the stuff that we were carrying around or have been carrying around for decades that sometimes we don't even realize.
Well, this is it. And I always say, whether I'm coaching one-to-one or whoever I'm speaking to, I love hindsight, right? Because with hindsight, you can actually see all of the different things, can't you, that you've manifested, whether or not you really wanted to manifest them, that you've been able to co-create, and just how, you know, all of your life has lined up. Because I really do feel, and that was part of my title in the second book, from victim and rescuer to coach and creator, because there was a time in my life where I really did feel like this victim, and just like, oh, you know, no matter what I did, I felt at least as though I would never be able to release anything and to move forward and to move out of that. And there can come a time for all of us, I'm sure, and maybe even more than once, but where we actually just feel a bit resigned to it, you know, because we've got so much going on, and it's just like, right, okay. And I've learned now, that comes up very occasionally now for me, but when that does come up, I've learned now that that is a massive sign to stop, and if possible to stop immediately, right? No matter what you are supposed to be doing, no matter what you have got in your diary. I mean, I have no problem now with contacting people if we're meant to be meeting up and I just don't feel that I'm in that space. I will actually contact them and say, look, you know, I just don't feel this today. Is it okay to reschedule? And the very vast majority say yes, of course, no problem. Whereas before, that in itself would have been difficult. And it's allowing myself the space to actually just stop and go, okay, so what is going on? What is actually going on? And that's something that I mention in this book, Co-Creating with the Divine. It's just, you know, to be aware of that and to be able to gift yourself this time to stop. And that can often frighten people, because when we say that, some people are just like, oh, but I haven't got time to stop. You know, what's going to happen to this, or what am I going to do? And the more we resist it, the more the divine, the universe, will actually make us stop. And that's what I spoke about in the first chapter in the first book. Because it really is, isn't it? It's just, you know, if you're not going to listen, I'm going to make you listen. And that in itself is a way of co-creating with the divine, isn't it?
Absolutely. And recognizing that as well. I think I've certainly, even though I was a mindfulness teacher before all of this, I've become even more aware and even more of an observer. And this book, there have been so many things put in the way of moving forward with it. It's like, no, it's not on your timeline, it's on my timeline. I've had to change the launch date like several times. All sorts of things have come up, and then you have this guilt that rises, don't you, that you know, people are relying on you for this date, and because that's how mainstream sort of works, isn't it? And we have to step back and forget about what other people's opinions. Just when you're co-creating with the divine, they really don't matter. It's not about opinions. It's all about energy. It's all about exactly what is supposed to be in this book and when. So I feel that people have been through things during this process as well that were supposed to be in this book, but earlier on they hadn't been through the process yet. So there was things that were supposed to come up and they were supposed to deal with and write about, which I feel is why this one's taken the longest. I don't know if you realise that.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
And my chapter title when it came in was I Surrender, because that was exactly what I was being called to do. My timeline, my idea of when it was going to launch did not matter. And I've really had to lean into that and, you know, go with the flow, so to speak. But we are definitely launching on the 30th of August.
Yep.
And nearly every chapter has been edited now, so yep, there is nothing going to stop that.
No.
Thank you, Divine.
But I totally agree with you when you say that. And part of what's really helped me is being able to write in the books that you've published so far, simply because it's enabled me to really sort of look at certain aspects of my life, past and present, but also to lean into this even more and to know that everything happens in divine timing, whether or not we like it. And you may love this because I journal most days. I am honest, because I used to say I journal every day, and if I'm late or if I just don't feel it, I don't. But most of the time I do journal, and I pull an oracle card, at least one every day as well when I journal. And today's card for the new moon, which was yesterday, is all about it's all in divine timing. And I was just like, you can't make this up. You just cannot make this up. And the symbol on the card, I don't have it with me, which is a shame because I could have showed you, but it's beautiful because it's a candle. And the message is that the flame of the candle, unless we actually put it out, can burn forever. That's the symbolism of it. And it's also a message to reconnect to our inner light, which I love as well. And when we do that, then we will have everything that happens in divine timing, because our inner light is our guide, right?
Beautiful.
So I just wanted to share that with you, because I didn't journal yesterday. I could have had that card yesterday. I didn't. I journaled today and I got that card, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be speaking to Katie in a couple of hours. And this in itself, for me, this is one tool that I use, just oracle cards, because that is a way to really connect to the divine. Some people may not see it as that. I do, because every time there is a message, and especially when I ask a specific question, the messages come in even louder and clearer. But you don't have to do that, as you know, Katie. You can just like pull a card. Just what is the message for the day, or what is the message for the week? And also journaling. I've shared a couple of my intimate journal entries in the chapter, and these were when I was fully in the zone, because I'm not always fully in the zone. I'm not, or maybe I am, but I don't feel as though I am fully connected to the universe all day, every day. But when I am, that is when the pure beauty and magic happens. And that is when I can channel messages from my higher self. And so I've included a couple of those that were channeled last year, in 2022, once I said yes to writing this chapter. And I didn't realize at the time that I was going to be invited by Spirit to include them in the chapter as well. And when we really take the time to connect to ourselves and to listen to what's coming through, even if it either doesn't make sense or even if it frightens us, because sometimes, like you know, we're gifted these visions, we're gifted this like life mission, and sometimes it's just like, wow, but how am I going to do that? And it's so much bigger than me that I sometimes can't even fully envisage it anyway. So yeah, so all of that has been happening.
And lately it's come to me as well, that's how the poetry came through me, when I was never expecting poetry to just flow through me like that. And it's come to me that it's not about me. None of this is about me. And it may be more so about people that come across this podcast, the books, the poetry, long after I've gone from this world, which does, like, it's really heartwarming to know that there is a piece of you still there that will be supporting your next generations when you've gone, when life may be difficult for them. So that gives me the strength to keep on going, however the current reality does look. You know, sometimes this entrepreneurial journey can be difficult. It's not easy. It's up and down and up and down. And, you know, you come to a point where there was a point only a week ago where I was like, oh, I'm done. But then the next day I had the best thing drop into me. So, yeah, what a journey. And it's not about, it's not about us. It's about a mission that comes through us that if we're open for it, could be huge and could be life-changing for all the people that come into contact with any of these things. So yeah, that's enough to keep me going. I don't know about you.
It definitely is. And just listening to what you said at the very end, about, inspiring people and helping people. I think that as entrepreneurs, and I totally agree with this entrepreneurial journey. I'll tell you a little bit about mine, since February 2022. It's been a bit of a wild one. But I send out an email to my email list, which is very small, but I love them dearly. And I send that out now once a month. And most of the time, I never get any response. And at one point, I was thinking, is this really worth it? Until I got a beautiful response. Can't remember when, it doesn't matter. But from this woman who had subscribed at the very beginning, which was years ago, and who said, I just want to let you know that I read every single one of your emails. I can't wait for them to arrive. They are full of such wisdom, and they give me the strength to carry on. Now, she's never worked with me on a one-to-one or even in a group setting, but she wants to read what I have to say. And I'm getting all these goosebumps now, because that really spurred me on as well. I was like, okay, so as entrepreneurs, it is difficult because we need that inner faith. Nobody else is going to give it to us, and we need it even more to become entrepreneurs in the first place. Of that, I'm sure. And we are human, and from time to time, it is encouraging to get these responses, to get this support, to get the people saying, I love what you do, simply because there are days, like you've said, where it's just like, I'm done with this. You know what? I'm just like, I feel like I'm pushing something up a hill and it just keeps rolling back down, and I'm following the guidance, I'm doing what I feel I should be doing, and it's not getting the results. And then that takes me back to my card today. It's all in divine timing. Your idea of timing is not the same as divine timing.
Yeah.
And that can be very frustrating. It can also be very humbling. So,
and we just have no idea of the ripple that we're creating, have we? I decided after that last week as well, when I came out with an event that I'm going to run in, I think it's 10 days. I've lost the track of what day it is now. But I decided, leading up to the event, I would put out a daily email on the same topic. And there was a little part of me, because email, I've not been great at being regular with email. There is the small part of you that thinks that you might be bothering people, isn't there? But then I look at the email I get every day from tut.com, the
Yes.
universe emails, and how much that lifts me up just to read that little piece every single day. So I thought, no, there's something here, and this is where I need to focus on putting some energy into daily. And after that first email a few days ago, I saw the open rate almost instantly was 111. So there.
wow.
There, that was the sign. This is what you need to focus on. So I'm putting a big focus on there, on what I can give, and I don't care, about any outcome for me with that. It's more about that it's touching souls who it may help through everyday life. So there is something in what we're doing way bigger than we know, and
Yes.
it's not always about the income, the money, the things that often we can place onto something with the old employee mindset. That's part of it.
Yes. Yeah. It is. And you're talking about income. It's not always about the income. Well, that's something I wanted to share quickly about my entrepreneurial journey, because when I set up my own business, I'm just looking at the date, over 14 years ago now, it wasn't what it is today, and it's definitely evolved over the years. And little by little, I have stopped doing what I was initially doing, which was being a technical translator and teaching adults business English, to fully embrace the healer, the mentor, the coach, the author, the speaker, the teacher that I am. And last year, I decided that I was going to stop most of my teaching work, which was a huge chunk of my income at the time, with nothing to replace it.
Mm.
And that was really taking that leap of divine trust and just like, you need to do it. And the reason why I did it was because my soul had got into such a place where what I was experiencing was actually damaging my soul. It wasn't, it was much more than me as a person. It was just my whole being. And I was like, I just cannot be in this type of environment anymore. It's definitely not serving me at all anymore. And so to get to that place as well, and to then have the trust and the strength, and also the support. I do have support from my husband for that, which is thankfully very, very good. But to have that and just to take that leap of faith and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm really going to do this. And to know that that's the right thing to do. And it was so strange because there was no fear attached to it. Whereas in the past where I'd made decisions for my business, there had been some fear attached to them. And that for me was new. And so to be honest, it was quite strange because then I was like, what you mean I'm doing it and there's no fear? It was just like, what's going on? But that has opened me up to so much more flow, as you were mentioning earlier, and to so many more possibilities. I'm not yet where I want to be. That is an ongoing process, and things have happened in my personal life again this year, which I find very interesting. Whenever I've made the decision to up level something in my business, then personal things come up that I hadn't even thought were there. And I'm sure it's the same for you.
It is. I've had exactly the same experience. And something that I went through as well was financially, normally between November, December, no matter what business I've been running, November, December, January, February is always expected to be not very much income. But for the first time, I reached that 5K month. November, December, January, February, and March consistently, which is a first for me ever. But then something personal happened. My stepdad had a heart attack, and then a few weeks later, my mum was rushed in with heart failure. Which, as soon as that, my emotions were on a roller coaster from that, it dropped everything back down again, and I've just witnessed it. I know exactly what it is. So when we can understand how our emotions are affecting our finances, they're so linked, love and finances.
Oh, yes.
That most people don't know. And I did know this. When I ran the charity, I observed this. Because if I was okay, stable emotionally, usually when my ex-husband was sober, the money would flow into the charity. But when I was in not a very good state because he was in a relapse, it blocked the finances in the charity. So I'd already gone on a journey to look at that, and by joining Denise Duffield Thomas's Money Boot Camp in 2019. So it's been something I've been aware of, but over the last, since November, I've really witnessed that where it can be, where it's stable regardless of the time of year, because emotionally I was very stable. So this is very real and very important. I think,
is very
to understand.
Yes. Yeah. I know that you're the same as me. You're an EFT practitioner, and so that's emotional freedom technique for people who don't know what it is. That is so important. And I have been using that a lot this year for myself because I've up-leveled quite a lot. I've reinvented my business. So there's a new name, there's a new logo, there's a brand new website, which is absolutely beautiful. And it really fills me with joy just to see that, what I've co-created with a beautiful woman called Heather. And it really is, it's all about the emotions. And I've journaled on this year, and I've put, people don't realize that I need to, and when I say people, it's my immediate family. don't realize how I need to be emotionally stable for my business to work well.
Yeah.
So, and that, just writing that in itself was like, well, that's great, because I recognize that now. And it's a way for me to educate them.
Yeah.
So, not saying that they are the cause of it, because they are not. They are just being themselves and having their own experience, which is triggering things in me. But when I said last week, you know, I think I'm just going to give it all up. I was presented with, no, 2 weeks ago now, sorry. I was presented with so many things on a daily basis for the whole week, of just all of the things from the past, either different people, different situations, different triggers. And it was everything that I've been working on for over 20 years. But it had all just come together. And I was just like, I don't understand what's going on. So I surrendered, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Because I just feel like giving up. And I heard the voice saying, this is just to show you everything that you've been through, showing you all the people involved, all the situations, all the triggers, and you now have the choice to either consciously release all of it, even if there are still a few things that are lingering, or to carry on and go back round that loop. And it was just like so clear. And I was like, I don't want to go back around that loop again.
No.
And that for me was just like the instantaneous switch point. And I did something that I was a bit afraid of doing, but I'm not yet in the space to go into detail about it. But basically, I just sat down with somebody who is very, very dear to my heart and in my life, and we have a soul contract. And I invited them to sit with me and to do a releasing ritual together. And not only did the person accept very wholeheartedly, but it went beautifully. But what could have happened at the end of that was the release and a separation. And it didn't happen. And I was like, that for me is proof that really leaning into what my soul wants and needs is the right thing to do. And it was just being okay with that and being guided to do it no matter what the outcome. And that was, not even 2 weeks ago. And that since then, that has opened up so much. And I've had a few inquiries from people who want to work with me, and I haven't done anything. They have contacted me, and just lots of different things have lined up, lots of different opportunities. But what is the most important for me is just this inner knowing and this peace inside, which I've experienced on and off, but it really is there now. And the message that I got from Spirit a couple of weeks ago, as I said, was so beautiful, so beautiful. It was really like, you have this choice. The choice is yours.
Well, I'm pleased you chose to stay as much as I'm pleased that I did.
Well, thank you. Yes. What would we have done if you'd have chosen not to stay?
I know. I did have words of the universe. I did say, universe, if you want me to do this work, you need to make it easier.
Yeah.
And then I was in a program with Joanna Hunter, who we both know quite well now, called Be Your Own Rescue yesterday. And in it, the voice that came through me told me to rest and nap. And there comes a point when you're like, oh, how many times can you hear this message to rest and nap? So I took a nap, and I woke up 3 hours later because there was no guilt attached to it. But that is the problem half the time. We're so indoctrinated that we have to be busy, doing, that it just is like second nature, isn't it? And then when we do rest, we feel guilty for resting. So we're not really resting anyway. So
Exactly.
It's a journey and a half, but we learn, we live and learn, and hopefully we share all of our breakthroughs with the people around us.
Yeah, because like you said at the beginning, it's definitely, I believe, the same as you. It's not us who we are, it's what comes through us. to help all of those who are ready and who are waiting for us as well.
And sometimes we're blocking it.
Exactly.
Now, Sarah, at very short notice, I asked you if you could take me through an experience with you today, because we've had a couple of interviews now. They're always wonderful. But I thought, I want our listeners to experience some of what Sarah does. And I'm going to give the floor to you.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, it was just like, okay, what can I do? Because there are so many things, as you know, that I can share. And we were just discussing it very quickly before, and you came up with a beautiful title. And I was like, oh, that reminds me of something I did last year. So again, that's co-creating with the divine, because there are two of us, but there was the inspiration from you that just dropped in that then reminded me of something else that I had already created.
That was a piece of yours anyway, because it was part of the title of your chapter. So it was
exactly
had always been there for you.
Exactly. But this is it as well. Sometimes we need that mirror, sometimes we need the reminders, which is why I think it's beautiful, because it is, everything is a co-creation. And to think that we are alone and to think that we need to do it all by ourselves is something that I have forgotten, because I used to think that was true, and I know today it is anything but the truth. So what I've chosen to share with you is all about shining the light. And why I wanted to do that is because my oracle card this morning about the candle and talking about your inner light, so that in itself is a nudge. But also our inner light is there, it's always there. If we've dimmed it for whatever reason, it doesn't mean it's gone out. And even if we feel it's gone out, we can do so many things to actually reignite that little flame, which can then grow and glow as much as it possibly can. So first of all, what I'm going to share with you are a couple of things that I do more or less on a daily basis now to really make sure that I am connected to that inner light. And then I'm going to guide us through an exercise that we can do, which has really helped me and helped all of my coaching clients, no matter what stage of the journey they're on. So the first thing when we want to really reconnect to our light is to practice gratitude. And when I say that, I really do insist on the practice. So for me, it's not just a question of randomly writing down 3 things. A lot of people say that, write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for. That can help. But just doing that on its own for me is not enough, because I tried that to begin with nearly 10 years ago when I started practicing gratitude. And it worked for a while, but then the effect very quickly wore off. So the way that I practice gratitude is to really lean into all of my life experiences as far as possible, to be connected to what is going on right now, and to even maybe express gratitude for what I'm feeling. So it doesn't have to be outside of ourselves, because I'm not saying we don't have anything that's outside of ourselves. A lot of my gratitudes are. It's connections like this, for example. So I'll write in my book, I'm so grateful for the connection I have with Kate Carey. That's sort of outside me, but there is also that inner connection that we share, the energetic connection. But that can actually be taken away. So the idea of gratitude is, as much as possible, to find things that concern us and that are inside, and our feelings are part of it. And I'll talk about that when we do the experience together. So not only write them down, and I've got a dedicated notebook, so I've got loads, you can imagine, over the years, but a dedicated notebook. Don't write them on a piece of paper, because if you're like me, there are pieces of paper everywhere. And don't write them in the same place as another thing, because what I do then is I invite people to read their gratitudes, not necessarily on a daily basis, but definitely when you feel that your light has dimmed for whatever reason. You just go back and you start reading some gratitudes, and I can guarantee that after a couple of minutes, you will feel so much lighter and you will reignite what is inside. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I found very, very, very difficult was to add fun to my life. Because, like you said before, especially being an entrepreneur, there's always so much to do. And when you're on that constant hamster wheel of doing, you get exhausted and there is no room for fun. And also being in business can't be fun. That's what we're taught. You have to work hard. Everything has to be a struggle. You have to fight for it. And I've realized that that is definitely not true either. So add fun into your daily life, whatever that could be. For me, adding fun is dancing. I love dancing on my own. I mean, I love dancing with people, don't get me wrong, but I can just put on some music and dance on my own. So that will add a bit of fun to my life already. Sometimes it's with the clothes I wear. Sometimes it's with a book that I want to read or colouring a mandala, whatever, but adding fun. So really reconnecting to the sort of the playfulness, the child that's inside of us. And that's something that I help people to do. We do a lot of work on the inner child and reconnecting to that. Another thing is to find our own balance. And for me, it's looking at what are our values? What are our gifts? And what brings me fulfillment? So I go much further than happiness, because happiness is there and it's a state, but happiness can also move through us and can often be replaced by sadness for whatever reason. Whereas if we look at what really fulfills us, what really fills us up, because for me, fulfillment is when you are fully filled with something. So whatever, and then it's connected to the joy part, it's connected to the fun part. So it's really just getting specific on what are my values, what are my gifts, and what fulfills me in life. And then the last thing, and you've mentioned it a lot already in our discussion, is our energy levels, checking in with them. Similar to you yesterday, I've got 2 things. I'd only given myself 2 things because I'd just gone back from a long weekend away, and I know that the next day I'm always just needing to adjust. So I just gave myself 2 things to do, and I got through one, and I didn't even have the strength or the energy to start the second one. And instead of feeling guilty, I just surrendered to that. So I slept, and then I just did mundane tasks that needed doing, but not what I had written down to do. And I was totally aware of my energy. And I slept a lot last night. And when I woke up this morning, I was ready to go for my coaching client. Here I am with you for the interview. I've got 2 or 3 other appointments lined up, and I've got the energy. So that as well, it's so important to honor our energy levels. And especially women, they seem to fluctuate more than men. So just to lean into that and to say, it's okay. So those are the things that I do, and I wanted to share to help us reconnect to our light.
That's wonderful, thank you. And when you just said that about women, then I think that when we've been at the stage where we've had children, I don't know how that was for you in your earlier days, but as the mother, it was like we didn't have time to sleep, didn't have time to care about ourselves, because we were so busy all of those years putting the rest of the family first that we forgot about ourselves. And sleep is something that I had not had a lot of for many years, and now it is the most important thing. So if I feel drowsy, go to sleep without the guilt, because it's what we need, and it's a very good reset button. Law of attraction wise, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, she's always talking about go and have a sleep, because it restarts it all. So it's worth it.
Well, this is the thing that I find crazy, and I'm speaking from my experience, definitely, is that our body sends us a signal that you're tired. So why don't we just listen to it and sleep? Especially when we are entrepreneurs. Not everybody has that, because if you're if you're a salaried worker, for example, and you've got hours that you need to work, you can't. Having said that, I'll let you into a little secret. There were times when I did have a job like that and I was exhausted. So I would go to the toilet, but I wouldn't go to the toilet. I'd just sleep for 10 minutes.
I used to nap in the car.
I'm quite good at having power naps.
I used to nap in the car at lunchtime. I didn't take a lunch break, a proper lunch. I just went for a nap.
Exactly.
Here's something that maybe workplaces, if workplaces had napping pods, they would actually get more productivity out of their employees who wouldn't be flagging by the afternoon.
Definitely. So that's what I found at the time. This is going back over 15 years ago now, just before I set my business up. But that was it, it's like, oh my God, and I was trying to work and I could feel myself. So I was like, well, just take myself off to the toilet. Nobody's going to question that. And I just have a power nap. So, but yes, definitely the thing about mums, and especially when you have a child that doesn't sleep through the night for years, that is also very detrimental to everything. So I also have that experience.
Yeah, my daughter was 13 when she started sleeping through, and that's the truth.
13! Oh my goodness. I don't know if I could have survived.
I think she used to see things, or she was scared of the dark. So I think there's a bit more to it than that now that I know what I know that I didn't know back then.
What was I saying at the beginning? I love hindsight. Absolutely love it, right? We could have a totally different life with hindsight. So what I wanted to share is a technique that you can use anytime. The idea is to be able to use this, though, as soon as you start to feel the disconnect, the tiredness, the guilt, the overwhelm, whatever it is that it feels like it's stopping you and you're pushing through. So however that shows up for you. So the first thing is to listen to that, to trust it, and to stop. So what we do is feet firmly on the floor, if possible, close our eyes. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to guide you through this. I invite you to do it if you are watching or even if you're listening. And even if you don't necessarily feel the need, but it can always help, and it brings up different things at different times. So the first thing is just to close our eyes and to breathe normally. So not to worry about anything in particular. And then we're going to take a few more deeper breaths now. So we're going to breathe in consciously through our nose up to the count of 4. Then we're going to block that up to the count of 4. And then slowly release it through our mouths up to the count of 4. And then if you can possibly do nothing up to the count of 4. And we begin again. So we'll all do that now for 3 times. So breathe in. Block. Breathe out. Then do nothing. Then breathe in. Block. Breathe out. And then do nothing. And the last time, breathe in. Block. Breathe out. And do nothing. And then with your eyes still closed, you're going to bring your hands, if you haven't already done it, I instinctively do it now, but you're going to bring them onto your heart space. One hand on top of the other. You're going to gently press into your heart space. And imagine that your breathing actually comes from and through your heart. So don't force it, but just create that connection there. And once we've created that connection, we're going to imagine our higher self. Now, our higher self might be something you're very familiar with, and you may be new to this. When I first connected to my higher self, I saw a little fairy, a bit like Tinkerbell. It can be anything for you, but just imagine that there is this spirit that represents you and that you connect to. And once you feel that connection, bring that spirit down into your heart space as well. Then you're going to ask what you most desire right now. This can come to you in the form of a message, words. It can be an image, a picture of something. It can be just a feeling, a sensation. And then I'm also going to invite you to connect to any feelings that come up when you're connected to the desire. And then get curious about your feelings. What I mean is, where are they coming from? What are they trying to tell you? Are you listening to them? Are you leaning into them? Are your feelings showing you something that you don't want to address in your life? And then ask your higher self for guidance on whatever you're feeling. And when you feel that the guidance has come in for you, and you have that inner knowing that has come from your higher self, then you can thank your higher self. And when you're ready, very gently open your eyes. And I recommend that you write down everything that you have received, all the guidance that you have received. Because that is the way that we move forward, for me anyway, hand in hand with the divine. And if there's anything that's come up that is scary, maybe the moment to reach out for help has come. Because as I said before, we are not alone, we are not in this alone. And there are so many beautiful souls who are just that one step or two ahead of us that can help us.
That was beautiful, thank you, Sarah. And you can probably guess the message that I got again. Sleep to heal your body. so I'll probably be going for a nap after this session. But
Good. Good.
when you said there about reaching out for help, there is a beautiful place where you can come and reach out for help as well, because we've got a Facebook group called Evolving on Purpose for the launch support, where lots of us are dropping in lots of wisdom, lots of snippets of the book that we're about to launch on the 30th of September, 30th of August.
Oh.
I did not say 30th of September, that's my birthday.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's your birthday, isn't it? Yeah.
The 30th of August. But in the meantime as well, Sarah, where can people reach out personally for help from you, help and support?
Okay, the best place now is my new website. So that is sbhmentoring, all one word, .com.
Thank you so much for today. Is there anything else you want to share before we leave?
Thank you, Katie. It was absolutely beautiful as always. Yeah, I would just like to say, and I think I've said it before in the other interviews, please, 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 whoever you are and wherever you are, remember that you're not alone. And whether you reach out to Katie, whether you reach out to me or anybody else, if you are really struggling, please reach out. That's all.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thanks for listening to the Soulful Valley podcast. I trust that you will have heard something today that you were ready to hear, and that it's made you feel a little lighter, more aligned and connected with your soul's purpose, and you have been reminded of who you really are and the true nature of the power that you hold within you. My aim for this podcast is to bring love, light, wisdom, raise consciousness and ease suffering. If you've enjoyed the show, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue of previous episodes. Subscribe, follow, rate and review so that you're notified when new episodes drop in, and share this podcast with anyone that you think it may help to listen to. You can connect with me at soulfulvalley.com, and if you scroll to the bottom of the website, there are links to my social media platforms.